Hi and welcome. Here is a game with Grandmaster Prag, for short, and he's playing Woman International Master Anna. I'll try this Kantane, a Gyuku piano, and so I'm not very good with those words. This is in 2018 RTU Blitz. Between them. So Grandmaster Prag is white and Women's International Master is black. So we've got the Gyuku piano. Okay, so here we go. Let's go. So this is Blitz. So it's 3 minutes and 2 seconds, I think, but they make it look like a 20-minute game. Bishop c4. So here we go. This is it, and so she plays the 2 knights defense against it. And quite popular is this, especially in the square and all that sort of stuff, or for people that like playing this sort of game. And then d5 after. A very sharp line here is after here is bishop c5. This is really sharp. Because after knight f7, I think we have bishop f2 check. I think, but I'm not completely sure. So that's quite interesting play. But anyway, here comes his move, which is d3, I believe. So next, this was played about August last year. So here we've got bishop c5, and does white now castle, or does white do something else? White, I believe, plays c3, yes, and here comes a6 or d6, and then knight bishop b3 and a6 and h3 and bishop a7. This bishop is a real big pain in these games. You've got to really watch out for this bishop on a7 or so, hiding away in the wee corner, which is one of the principles I like, is a bishop on rook 2 or on a7, a2, and that sort of thing, or h2 and h7. They can just about get forgotten in the game, and then all of a sudden you go, oh, I've got this bishop, or your opponent goes, oh, I've got this bishop, and oops, you forget about it, especially in lightning chess. I mean, we can castle. Anyway, I'm starting to ramble. What's unusual about that? So anyway, queen e2. So now we have bishop e6, do we? No, h6. And then we have knight b2, bishop e6. And now bishop c2. If white takes this bishop here in this position now, then it gives white problems with having to deal with this half-open f-file for black. So white plays bishop c2. Looks pretty even, doesn't it, really? It doesn't look like much. Now, do we have queen e7? Yes. And then we have, what did we have now? Knight f1, I think. Yes, knight f1. So here we have castling. Okay. So what does Grandmaster Prag play? g4. d5, Nimzowitsch says, Aaron Nimzowitsch says, or Alekhine does this as well, or did this. Strike in the center when your opponent hits on the flank. So here, Anna, the Woman International Master, is doing exactly the same. So here we've got the move it's either knight g3, I think it's rook g1. Yep, rook g1. So this just sort of like is saying I'm going to just blast down here. Anyway, so we have pawn takes, I think. Yeah, and pawn takes. So now white's sort of threatening this, really, aren't they? Really. So back comes this knight, I think. I think it goes to gh7. Yep. Now, is it knight g3 or bishop e3? Knight g3. And this is the sort of move that I'd even play, because I mean I'm sitting there going, I'm going to plant my knight onto f5, a natural looking square, and this becomes quite difficult for black to defend. So what happened now is rook d8, rook fd8, I think. Oh no, b5. So maybe she's just going to play this idea, which is quite effective too. So here comes bishop e3 to counter the initial response, and black now plays rook fd8. And I can't see the score, but I wish I could. But it's good for my memory, as I've already outlined previous. And I think bishop e6 happens now, or knight f5. No, sorry. Knight f5. And here we have a move that we can all see. So I start flipping the board. What would you play here? And it's sort of probably a good idea given the situation of white's possibilities on the king side. So black played queen d3. And of course white plays a normal move here. Doesn't play anything extravagant. Just what do they play? Do they just wait for the queen to take our queen and that sort of thing, and then maybe bishop b3 or something, or whatever? Black is met with queen d3, rook d3, and then we have this move, very easy to see, is king e2, obviously threatening the rook. And so the natural move for black is rook a d8. So now what would you play here? And I think it's either bishop e6 or bishop e3, maybe even rook d1 is possible. No, it's not. Why is rook d1 not possible? Real quickly, why is rook d1 not a very good move? If rook d1, then we have rook d1, bishop d1, only move, and then we can pull the king away from the defense of the d1 bishop by this. Even though white would be able to play this sort of move, it just gets a bit messy, because now they're defending the bishop on d1 and attacking this bishop on f2. So it could all turn to custard quite soon if white is not careful with being sort of like a little bit cheeky. Maybe just here is this. I'm just thinking outside the square here, and maybe bishop g3 or gh6 and king f2, and the pawn count is 6 to 6. But white's pawns feel a wee bit better, but they're not really. This position would be quite nice for the knight, for the bishop, and a rook can swing to the g file too, if it so wishes. But anyway, that's just a little bit of abstractness. So we have here, and so white, I believe played maybe bishop e6. Yeah. And then obviously if e6 and knight back to g3. So white's got a wee bit better pawn formation because of these double pawns, but if white doesn't watch it, these pawns can be in black's favour if she can, if she can generate these knights to go to f4 and that sort of thing. Maybe g5 is white's move, of course. g5, knight f8, knight g6, and knight f4. So where white, what move would you play now? Well, it's not white's move, it's black's move. Sorry. So what would you play for black? I think it's black's move. Because I think knight f6 happened. Yep, knight f6. So now we have, I think that was moved now, but I'm not sure now. No, it wasn't. What would you play now for white? So it's quite easy to find. I just forgot what it was. It's g5. Well done. Now flip the board, and we're just going to take that, aren't we? Really? Okay. So flip the board. What would you take it with? I thought, to be honest, I thought knight g5 looks quite good for white. But white didn't play knight g5. White played, I'll just see what the engine thinks, shall I? No, I won't. I won't involve the engine. I thought knight g5 here. But Grandmaster Pragg played bishop g5. So now you're Anna. So you're thinking, what next? I think king f7. Okay, that's what I think. So I kind of remember king f7. Yeah, it's very, very good for your memory to do this. To even just have a mock game on here, or remember this game, and try to remember as many moves as you can. Try to find the moves like Grandmaster King says to do, which he's been doing a long time in British chess magazines. So rook f1, the surprise of the whole thing today. This was a real big surprise. Surprise, surprise, surprise. But anyway, this was a very big surprise. Rook f1, rook a f1, a5. Of course, before, we cannot play this move here because white just drops the pawn to rook takes rook, rook takes rook, rook takes rook, king takes rook, bishop takes f2. See that nasty bishop there? So we have a5 from Anna. Very impressed with both the play of both these players, especially coming up. So rook d1, we're going to have to take this because we haven't got a choice, really. Can't go anywhere. We're going to have to swap off a pair of rooks. Maybe rook d6, but she takes this rook here. And so rook takes, of course, and so she now moves this rook to h8. And so you're India. What do you play now? The very easy move to find is h4. Maybe that's why he played bishop takes g5 earlier. Otherwise he has to move his knight back when the pawns hit, but black cannot play king f7 with a knight on g5, of course. So we got h4. So now what? I think b4, I think. That's my thought. No, king e8. Bishop e3. Now offering to get rid of this menace on a7, this bishop that we don't want here on the board. Okay, so she takes. And takes back with the king, of course. The pawn capture would be weak for white to play that way. So king e3, keeping things in reasonable cleanliness. And here comes knight g4. Now check, the king has to go back to e2, else we drop a pawn. And I think she plays king e7 here. Yep, king e7. So she's playing very actively, and no wonder she's an international master comparative to I'm not. So here we have king e7. Now what? I think white plays here. I think the move was knight f1. No, rook g1. So the knight goes back to f6. Sorry. And it's getting a little bit confusing, but here's knight f1 now. So if knight e4, then white merely takes this pawn. So let's just have a look at some of that, okay? Just real quickly, just see if we can find things for white that are quite good. Maybe here, actually. Or was it, would it be here? We could probably go here. Not entirely sure. This appeals to me, this move here. I'm not absolutely sure about this position, but there are other moves too, of course. So anyway, we have king f7. Very sensible. Do we have knight g5 check here? No, we have knight f1 d2. Now here comes white's move. What would you play here now? Your Grandmaster Prague, what do you play here? And it's not bad. Is knight c4. And now comes the capture on c3. So white can just lift the pawn on e5 with check, given that they've got two knights attacking e5. So here white wins a pawn. So what if just knight back to here? Thereby we're defending, aren't we? I think it's probably better. Although, if knight here, what would you play? I think that there could be something meaty here. Maybe after knight d7 we might have this move here, rook d1, and if take, then take, and this is looking quite annoying for black. Or maybe not, I'm not sure, I'm completely unsure. So we have BC3. So white is 1 pawn up, 5 versus 4 pawns, with knight and rook each. And Anna wasn't doing the best on time in this position. Now knight c4, I believe, and here goes, what's black's move now? Rook b5. What move would you play here for white now? That was quite good. There's 1, 2, 3, rook g5. So we're now on this pawn twice with the rook and the knight. So this causes a response, which is rook b1, and so the rook lifts the a pawn. Oh no, f3, sorry, forgot that. There's a wee quiet move because this David is threatened. So f3. Now rook h1 and rook a5, rook h4, and then we have knight e5. Do we? No, we don't. But we have a threat of if king f7, that's a blunder. Black would lose a rook, of course, to knight e5 check and knight g6 check, so king goes e7. Now the knight swings into e5, which is threatening that anyway, and the black king comes up to d6. Oh no, it doesn't. What did happen here? Was it rook h5 or rook h1? Yeah, rook h1. Rook a7, just pawn grabbing, trying to win pawns at any cost. Not really any cost, but king d6. And here we have knight c4, a move that is easy to see. If king c5, mistake as the computer shows rook c7, and we've picked up a pawn at least for white again. So we're then 2 pawns ahead, which is quite good at just playing these sorts of positions. King c6, and we have is it rook a6 check now? No, it's a4. A move I missed again. a4, rook e1, and now the king goes to d4. And knight d7, and so because of this move we can now play the rook here. We can now play this rook here, check, and we're picking up this pawn. If knight b6, then white could just play this move, I believe. And this is going to be favourable as far as I'm concerned for white in a big way. The only thing really is either a spite check or a rook defending. So if the rook defends, then we can just take this, and take this. And here we've got a completely clear win, because the king can't take here because we're just going to float our king into e6 and g7 or thereabouts. Okay, so that's no good, but that's just my analysis. It's not hers. So here comes king b7 and rook e6. So we have 2 pawns up now, getting to the dangerous side. Now c5 comes. Now, guess what? The king does not move forward. It moves back to d3. And then rook d1 and just king c2. So we're now just thinking, well, okay, now rook f1. Now what would you play for white now here? And I'm not saying it's the best move on the board, but it's what was played by Grandmaster Pragg. So what does he play now? Does he play knight d2? Because otherwise, that's the only... Does he play rook here? That looks alright. Does he play here? Which one would you play? Does he play knight e5? Not really good move, because maybe that will give black some chances of drawing. Maybe he plays here and hopes for rook f3, or maybe he hopes for, maybe he plays rook e7. Oh no, he doesn't play that. New variation, and hopes for here, and then maybe here, and then rook here, and then rook takes here is no good actually, because we have rook f2, do we? No, we don't. But if king d7, then we have knight e5 check. But if rook here check, then we just go rook d2. So we win a piece there. But that's not what he played. He played, well done if you saw it, rook d6. So this just threatens the knight outright, and the king can defend the knight, but then the rook cannot take this pawn because of rook takes knight check. So king c7, and we have rook d3. Sounds a bit odd, but that's what happened. And rook a1, and we have a5. No, we have king b3, rook b1, king a2, and now the rook goes to h1 or f1. Yep, f1 and a5, presenting itself for promotion. Knight b8, knight e5, king b7, no, king b3, king b7, king c4 feels very comfortable indeed for white now, even though we're these sets of pawns up, aren't we? Because for white, I'm not. White is these lovely pawns up, plus they're nicely defended and coordinated. See the coordination of white's pieces in the center, plus this pawn is a problem for black, and this pawn is a problem for black. And if moves like knight a6, then we have just rook d7 check, and we can take our pick between rook g7, probably the most likely, and the king's now well and truly protected, the white king, from black checks and things like that. So we have king a6. And did he play king c5 here? Or he played rook d8? Oh yes, this is getting quite crunchy now. And did she move at all anymore? Yes, she played rook b8, b2, king a7. G8, a right pane. And here is where the session ends. This is where Anna folded and resigned. Thank you very much for watching this YouTube chess channel, which is primarily basically here for you. I hope you enjoyed it.